Hello everyone, Raj here. Welcome back to another video. Now, this is going to be a new series, a new set of things I'm going to be doing with the channel. This is going to be a vlog day, and what I'm going to be doing on these vlogs is not only suggestions for RuneScape, but suggestions for other games as well. In the meantime, I'll have another game playing in the background, most likely RuneScape, while I discuss these ideas. Now, they could be my ideas, your ideas, somebody else's, etc., etc. If you have an idea you'd like to have discussed, feel free to submit it to me down below and we can discuss it in the following week. If I don't have any other suggestions from you, the viewers, I will just go over an idea that I've either seen or an idea I have myself for Jaggets or other games. Now, I'm going to be avoiding AAA titles, like, such as, like, let's say, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, for instance. There's no point in suggesting rural content for that because it's already been made. And I know they can do downloadable content, but that's not the point. We're going for games that are either in beta form or still being developed, or games like this where they're constantly being updated. So this week I'm actually going to discuss an idea that I have for Jaggets, and hopefully, if you guys like this idea, if you want to link them in the description below or in your comments, feel free to do so. That goes for any of your guys' ideas or anything in general. Now I won't be, I won't go on about copyright material, like having that change. Like there's certain things I'm not going to discuss, obviously. But for this video, I would like to discuss this one idea I have, and there's been a lot of talk about mini games for a while and how to fix them. And currently, nobody really knows of a good way to fix them, and I've been brainstorming for quite a while. Now, I've thought of more mini games. That doesn't necessarily fix a problem. That just creates more mini games, which may or may not be a good thing. And to me personally, it's not like Jaggeds has too many mini games in RuneScape 3. The downfall is there's no repeatability. There's no reason to go back to an event after it's already been, you got all the rewards. I mean, you can have fun with the event. You can enjoy it. It could be your favorite event in the whole wide world. But majority of the RuneScape players don't play mini games just for fun. They play it for the rewards. And that's about it. Now, the reason I generally notice for that is because they want profit. They want profit or really good XP. And you're not going to get that through a minigame. I mean, yes, there is a lot of minigames out there. They could get you some potential small-term profits, but it's nothing major. So my idea to bring back life to minigames is actually rather simple. All it would take is, instead of, let's say, well, a lot of the mini games are actually combat based. Not all, but a lot, or a big chunk of it is combat based. So, one of the ideas I have is, instead of getting straight XP during the event, let's say we'll go for one for example, let's say it's Castle Wars. Okay, now to get people back into this and wanting to do it more frequently, here's some ideas to do. And like I was going to say here, instead of getting the whole time through, you get majority combat XP. Well, instead of actually getting combat XP, you get an XP counter on somewhere in the interface, and I'll show you how much XP you get. Now, you get the regular mechanics that are already in the game, where, like, you get, depending on how it goes for the tickets, you get the tickets the same way. That doesn't change. So if you're still in the winning side, you still get your gold ticket, all that good stuff. But now instead of getting the direct XP throughout the whole match, it goes into an XP pool. And that XP pool at the very end, when you won or lost, you get to decide what you do with it. Now here's, well, actually before I even go into that part, here's the other idea to this. Instead of, because you want this to be the most, you want minigames to have a more of a profit, more of a reason to go to do them. And well, in a lot of minigames, once you get the rewards, there's no real profit to it. It's just occasionally you get an XP lamp, then that's it. So there's not really a whole desire in terms of rewards. This is why I'm going into what I'm saying here. So the rewards aren't too great. Like if you're doing them for combat, you're losing out on, you know, drops that you could have got from a Slayer task. Or if you're going into a minigame for fishing, you're losing out on the fish, but you're getting the XP. And on very rare occasions, you'll get, you know, an XP lamp or maybe an occasional reward, but it's usually nothing too great to really make up for all the XP and the items you lost otherwise. This is why I would propose that you would increase just for minigames only, that the XP ratio would be multiplied. So you would get a base of 1.5 XP, well, times 1.5 XP, so half of the, yeah, you know the configure. But you'd get 1.5 times the XP. So like, let's say it's a divination, and for whatever minigame there'd be divination. Instead of getting 7 XP right now, I would be getting, what? We'll round it up and we'll say 11 XP. 11 XP would be going into that pool that I had mentioned. So that's actually a substantial amount. But now here's where another thing comes into play. Let's say the main thing is not just sitting here and gathering, but taking this and transporting it to the other area. Then you would get another multiplier at the very end for participation. So you get another multiplier, which now that ratio of XP would be different, but that's something that would need balancing. As long as it's balanced, it would be good, but it needs to be an increase to what you would normally get. But once you get all this XP from everything, and it's all built up in that pool, let's say, for instance, you get 307,000 XP. Now here's where it gets to be kind of fun and kind of really getting people into the mini games. There will now be, since invention is now something that is actually being able to done, but now the invention would be scaled like the rest. But essentially what would happen is you would be able to locate all that XP into a different skill. Now, what if you want to? You can have it go up to so many X amount of skills. That's how it would be. You would get to pick X amount. Let's say 5, for example. So if it's 300,000 XP, you'd be able to split that into 5 parts. If you wanted to throw all 5, or all of it into one skill, you could. That's how you could divvy it up. So that means if you do, you know, let's say it is Castle Wars, you get a ton of combat XP. Let's say it's all in strength, you get a 300,000. Let's say you're maxed out on strength. Let's say you have the 200 million XP in strength. So you don't really want that XP anymore, and there's really no use for it. But you really love Castle Wars, so you really want to keep playing it, but you're not really benefiting anymore. And I think that's actually another chunk of reason why is because, you know, so many people were high level, there's no benefit. Well, now, instead of that all going into here, it all goes into that pool, and let's say you really neglected divination, and it's level 10. You could throw that 300,000 XP straight into divination. Now I know that might not seem fair to, let's say, skillers, But keep in mind, there is many games that revolve around skilling, and there's probably going to be more and more as time goes on. So with this, you could also work on your combat stats and vice versa. Not to mention, a lot of these mini games have ways that skillers can actually take part without actually taking part in the combat. So that is one method. Also, now this part goes into conjunction with that. Now let's say it is at 300,000, but let's say you don't want any XP at all. You really, all your skills are maxed out. You see no point in going back to a mini game to do nothing, to gain nothing. Well, in this method, you could also exchange all the XP for gold, straight up gold. Now, the gold would actually come at a reduced amount. So let's say you have 300,000, XP, and let's say you only keep, we'll go with 80%. Now, if you're not sure what 80% is of 300,000, that's how much you would keep. So you're not keeping, it would be 240,000 in case you're not looking at the screen, but you would only keep like 240,000 out of the 300,000. Now that is something that's subject to change, and maybe the balancing would need to be more current. Maybe you only keep half as gold, which is still a substantial chunk, 150,000 for 300,000 XP. But that's something that would need balancing. So there so far is two ways to restore and the demand for minigames. Now there is more methods that could potentially work, but I think those are actually, to me, some of the best ones, because a lot of the other things require major overhauls of minigames. Like, sadly enough, like, I love this one over here. This is one I really think of a lot, is mobilizing armies. I think it was a good idea, it wasn't properly executed. It could have been so much more than it is. But at the time, it was actually a really good minigame, but now there's also things you can do that are much greater than that. And I think it just needs to be completely redone. And I think how this could be redone is something I actually have on the forums right now. Now, I have it introduced as a skill, but it could be easily be a mini game. But that's for something else. This is mainly focused on, just mini games in general. But let me know what you guys think of that. Would you guys prefer if you could actually get all that XP and just relocate it into something else? Because that would actually bring a bigger demand for, doing mini games. Because no longer would you be wasting all your time and energy into a mini game that you're really not getting much out of. And one thing also that could be added to mini games is there's a lot of mini games that are combat oriented, which is fine, but there needs to be a little bit more variety. So we already discussed the skill XP relocation. We discussed the option about getting gold instead of XP, and now here's for the final aspect, which deals with combat, skilling, and minigames. So let's say Soul Wars. You really don't have a whole, if any, skilling options in there, other than a little bit of Slayer. But instead of having it that way, where you have to have combat, well, actually there's another option I just thought of now too. But we'll discuss this one first. Is just adding more skilling options into it. This way, skillers can participate, but not have to deal with all of the combat. Let's say instead of having all of these skillers, well, having just combat, we make it so, let's say in Castle Wars, there's a bandage table, you get your bandages and you go. let's say the skillers can actually stay behind the scenes in that room, and they can make the bandages. And actually they'll tie into the next part. They can also make the gear that you use. So while they're busy away making supplies for the events, for the mini game, everybody else is going out and doing stuff. Now there would be, like, you know, base items that are there, but they could stay behind in a secluded, safe room and be building away to try to get your group better and better stuff. That's another idea. Now the final idea does tie in with this, and that is to remove the aspect of bringing in any weapons, armor, and items to any minigame. Now it might not have to go to that extent. Let's say the Void Knight Outpost. You know, maybe let that one alone with this aspect, because you're going against NPCs, and same with like Barbarian Assault, you're going against NPCs. So that one, you know, those kind of things where you're going against NPCs, maybe leave those alone with this aspect. But for this one, you know, for like Castle Wars and Soul Wars, and you know, the really heavy PvP ones, instead of having it where you can bring weapons, armor, food, potions, and gear, etc. into it, you can no longer bring anything into them. When you enter these areas, it would automatically, you know, you would have nothing anyway. So when you enter there, there would be base stations for magic, range, and melee. You go to those stations, you can get the very base of the base gear. Once you get that gear, while the skillers are upgrading that gear, you go out and you do what you need to for combat. Now if everybody stays behind, that's fine and dandy, but all it's going to take is the opposing team to go running out after your flag in Castle Wars capture, because you're too busy making gear. And instead of that, you know, that skiller safe spot, you wouldn't be allowed to see what's going on. You'd be in a dead zone area, so you can't see outside of your walls. This way people can't just hide in there, wait for a little while, pop out whenever their flag gets taken, and then just stomp whoever's there. Now, you wouldn't be able to see anything going on outside, and you wouldn't even be able to see if the flag was taken. All you'd be able to do is basically see that your teammates are coming down, getting the items, and leaving. That's all it would be. So we got the creation, stuff like that, and this would also help stuff like Bounty Hunter, which has a huge problem of high levels with high level gear being able to just dominate these events, and then that's it, which is also a big part of what is killing, you know, mini games that have PvP, is you have all of these high levels, they just dominate, and then the low levels, they never get into it, they don't like it, they think it's stupid, they don't like your mini game. So you need to have more of a separation. And this also can be categorized by combat. And what should be done is maybe every 20 levels, every 20 combat levels, you have a group. So like this guy right here, he would be grouped with people that are level, okay, we'll go through 1 through 20, and then 21 through 40, 41 through 60, 61 through 80, and 81 through 100, 101 through 120, and then 121 and up. And if they ever make the combat level go higher, they can add more tiers to that. But see, that's how it should be, because you have so many people. There is people out there who want to play these mini games. Well, for instance, the biggest one I know of is like Bounty Hunter, because it's really new, but it's being dominated by high level people, and there's not enough area for range for combat. Now people can say, well, just get good, you know, you're used to being a noob, etc., etc. That's not the point. The point of the thing of it is, if you have people who are dominating one or two things, other people aren't going to get into it. And that's just a simple fact. It's a simple concept. It's not, one person being a noob. It's not one person being a jerk. It's just, it's how it's set up. And, each person is trying to play to win. And you're not going to play, or you're not going to win, you're not going to play. If there's zero chance for you to win, why would you keep going in there to let other people gain all the benefits and you get nothing except for your time wasted? So that's why I would say, you want to get the XP pool, which could also be a gold pool. So there's one. And then you want to get the skillers more involved, so have skiller stations, this way they can participate and they can get bonuses too. And then finally, no more bringing in gear out, from the regular Gillinor. You can only get what's in there. This way it's more fair, and then also separating the levels more when it comes to straight up PvP. Well, that'll do it for this episode. Let me know what you guys think below. If you guys like these ideas, link jackets to them, get them, like, hey, you need to check this out. This is actually good. Or if you really don't like the idea, don't do that, It's up to you guys. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you have a suggestion, please put it down below and we can discuss it next time. Contact me in RuneScape. My screen names are on the front. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know if you guys have any ideas, and we'll discuss them. So thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, later guys.